Oh, I'm so excited. So, hi, Mikkel. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast today. And I'm like very, very excited to, be hearing about your perspective on like ADHD and stuff. The reason why I wanted to bring you on is because like I've been following you for a while on Instagram, and I really, really love what you've been doing because you will see a lot of people speak about ADHD and like neurodivergent people on Instagram, but they will never ever speak about the systems. And I believe systems are super, super important, especially when you have a neurodivergent mind. And
Yeah.
that's why today we're going to be speaking about ADHD, what it really is, how can, like, let's say, for example, if parents are listening to this, like, what do they do with their kids? And obviously, we want to speak about your expertise. And so I just want to start with what is ADHD, Mikhail? And you can also introduce yourself.
Okay. Yeah. So my name is Mikal. The only reason I speak about this, and I only speak about it from my perspective, right? Like a lot of people reach out to me thinking like, I'm some expert in terms of psychology or anything, and I'm not. The way I really look at it is purely just like this interest-based nervous system where we have emotions and then like we act off of that. And if it doesn't serve our interest, then we don't pursue it. And it's not like a lack of motivation. There's just no reason for us to do it. And a lot of times, what I've found is with myself and speaking to clients as well, it's even if it's important, let's say a business meeting or getting the strategic work done, whatever it is, it doesn't get done purely because of that. We purely pursue our interests. And if it doesn't interest us, it kind of falls on the back end.
Yeah, I completely agree. So yeah, so just out of like curiosity, like, what do you mean by interest us? And how are like certain people like how can people then cope or do certain things if it doesn't interest them?
So I don't like the idea of just do habits and start doing like adding more things to your plate and like to-do lists and all of that. Like I don't like the whole productivity thing. It doesn't serve us, at least from my experience. So, and also we don't even think in like time, right? So like we get up and it's like, okay, I'm going to the gym now, and then like that's your routine. It's like gym, home, eat, work, and there's no like, okay, work at 4 p.m. and all of that stuff. It's like our brains kind of have events almost to like timestamp our day. So in that, um, it's purely just like you have to create, and I speak about this a lot, is like we have to create this identity, right? Before we can actually act in accordance with it. So um, let's say if I'm not productive right now, and we fall into this trap of like guilt and shame because we're not actually doing the things that we need to do. So we have to create a different version of ourselves that
Wow,
does all of these things, and we have to act in accordance with that.
I love that. So you're basically speaking of like an alter ego
Yeah.
in that sense. Wow, that's like
Yeah.
that's actually really like beautiful in that aspect. And how has like your how did you develop your alter ego, and how has that like helped you in your life, like speaking from your experience?
Okay. So two things. So like I merge two concepts, well, let's say three, right? So I like systems theory, inputs, processes, outputs, and two books and one creator that I really like as well. I don't know if you know him. He's Neuro Knowledge. He talks about like the esoteric side of things, the
Yeah.
manifestation and all of that. And then um, the other book was Atomic Habits by James Clear. So I've whenever I read books, I could never really sit down and read them. And those are the like Nero's book about outsmarting reality and then Atomic Habits are the two books that I really read and actually took notes on. And then I combined that with systems theory as well, as like everything in our life is a system, including our bodies and our minds, and that's the lens that I look at everything through. So essentially, when we're creating this alter ego, like we have to um, put down exactly like their belief system. What do they do, and why do they
Wow.
do it? Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's what I do as like a first step, create that person, and what does that person's day to day look like? Like that person doesn't not follow through on the task that he has, right? So like I look at all of those things, and then I try to create like I try to catch myself when I have those loops. Be like, I don't really feel like doing that, but that person would. So like now like I catch the loops of like, okay, that's the reason I don't want to do it, but that person wouldn't. So I have to keep changing that cycle because it's like pre-programmed inside of us. Like I don't want to sit down and do that task, but I have to. But what would that person do? I have to think from the perspective of the alter ego that I've created.
Wow, that is like unbelievable because that is also something I do. So basically what I tend to do is it's I basically, yeah, so like it's coming from the aspect of, if you want to become a millionaire or if you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to start acting and thinking and walking like them, right? So like
Mhm.
that, the identity shift, it all comes down to beliefs. And today I really really want to speak about beliefs. And obviously I'll just go down a bit about my story about like how beliefs actually like shape your reality, especially with someone who has like ADHD. So I
Yeah,
remember
please.
like yeah, I remember when I was young, right? Like I had a mother, just to show you that how like your environment plays like a huge role in terms of how like your ADHD develops and in terms of the systems that you develop. So I had a
Mhm.
mom that was like super like ambitious and she had like lots of energy and stuff. So so she would always like believe in me and say, I know, Yaz, you can, you're super smart and stuff like. And even like in school, I used to always be in trouble, always in trouble. Every single day, I was at the principal's office. But because I had such a like supportive mom that actually believed in me, it pushed me to want to excel, and it pushed me to go into that like alter ego, like you said, and start like actually like believing and implementing and like striving to become the best like version of myself. And the thing is, like in Morocco, so I grew up in Morocco, right? And in Morocco, there is no such thing as ADHD. They don't even understand what
Yeah,
ADHD is,
yeah,
if you know what I mean. It's like,
yeah.
oh, this kid has too much energy. You know what
Yes,
I mean?
it's not a problem. Just focus more. That's it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like just focus more. So like growing up, I didn't think like there was something actually inherently wrong with me. So because of that, I've actually developed the systems all by myself, the systems, and I've seen the systems that actually work for me in order for me to excel. And like you said about the negative thoughts, what I would do is I would actually become the observer. I would become more aware of my thoughts, which is, by the way, this is how people actually become aware. When you actually start realizing that those thoughts are not really you, there are probably those thoughts, and you start becoming the observer. You see your thoughts from like a third perspective, like
Hmm.
a third's eye, you
Yeah,
know. And you're like, okay, these are the thoughts that serve me, these are the thoughts that don't serve me, so I'll go with
exactly.
these and then I will go with these. And then and the thing is, like, I really want to compare it to the UK, because like I came here to the UK like to study for university, right? I was 18, and like I had a friend of mine who like used to take like these ADHD meds. This is, by the way, when I discovered what ADHD was. So she was like me, like she couldn't focus. She like her brain would like go from one topic to another. And then so she used to take meds. And then I realized like the system here in the UK, it's actually ridiculous. Like I don't want to say ridiculous, but the way they treat neurodivergent people is actually crazy. First of all, they see them as people that are less than. So
Hmm.
sometimes they put them in like different schools, and it all comes down to beliefs, right? Because they make them believe that they're less than, and they're less talented, less this, less that. The people actually start believing it. they start believing that there is something wrong with them.
Yeah.
And because they believe there is something wrong with them, this is how they create their reality.
Yeah, 100%. I actually have, and this is a big thing for me as well because I was put on like meds for a lot of things, including like the focus type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, like I realized I've been to multiple psychologists, psychiatrists in that period because I was seeking help.
Yeah.
And the dosage just kept going up and up and up. And I
Wow.
found that like after you have to take it every day at the same time, every day. And when I didn't take it or I forgot to take it, at least in the beginning, I would have intense withdrawal symptoms from it. And then I started realizing like something's not okay. So
Yeah.
that's when I went down on like the tangent is like one, I need to get off this, and two, I need to figure out something that works for me. It's like, and one of my clients as well, he's a doctor, a surgeon in the space, and he broke out of the healthcare system because of that. Like it doesn't serve people. It's just like you're trying to get people into that ecosystem because then you have like recurring revenue on people that's on meds as well, right? And so you need them to believe that they need the meds as well.
Oh
And
my
I'm not
God.
saying it's all bad. Like
Yeah.
100%, I'm not saying it's all bad. It can have its purpose with certain individuals, but I think there is like too quick to jump to those things, opposed to helping people understand the root cause and seeing how they can work with them.
Yeah. I completely agree. And by it's like, for example, I don't know, people who are like, I feel like neurodivergent people just have a different way of viewing reality. And I think they are like the human evolution. We are like the
Mhm.
species. We came here in order to break the system, in order like to actually help humanity evolve. And obviously we're
Mhm.
gonna start speaking about like what is neurodivergence, like what is actually happening in the brain like of someone that is neurodivergent, whether someone has ODD, which is autism and ADHD combined, or if someone has autism, or if someone has ADHD, like what, like if they are the human evolution, like what are the traits that they have that differentiate them from neurotypical people.
Mhm. I think like you look at some of the best entrepreneurs in the world, they have ADHD. I mean, Bill Gates had ADHD, right? But at the same time, it's this society doesn't really cater towards that because society wants to put you in that box of you're going to school and then you're going to university and then you need to get a job, so you need to sit and work specific hours, and that's not okay if you can't.
100%. 100%. Like I remember like when I was in high school, I think the one
Mm.
thing that really helped me with my ADHD, like two things. One, I moved my body a lot,
Yeah.
like movement and eating healthy. So
Yes.
my mom, by the way, she used to be like Miss Holland. So like back at home, like it was like strict diet and all of that. Like if I ate McDonald's, it used to be like a big deal. Like, you know, my sister, like obviously this is crazy, but she used to like hide her Nutella jar in the bathroom. So yeah, so like what do you think there, what are like ways in order to help the ADHD brain?
So for me, it's purely just that creating that identity and working towards it, right? I don't like to add, and then it's yes, catching those loops and seeing whether it does serve you or not, right? I think one, the self-awareness is the most important thing. Two, to realize that you're not like a lot of people like label it as like you're different or you neurodivergent. It's like as soon as you label yourself like that, you put yourself into this box that tells you that you're not okay, which is I think incorrect in itself because that's the narrative that you're going to be telling yourself. So I think for one, it's purely just creating this person that one that you want to be and that you look up to, and you're like, okay, I want to be that person. And now it's like then it becomes like getting super self-aware. And I think this is a hard part as well because um, like you said, it can stem like so far back to our lives because I was actually reading about this now as to like how the subconscious slowly transitions to consciousness, from like infancy to young adult to adult.
Yep.
And in like the first 2 years of our life, it's creating that emotional infrastructure. So we're in the delta brainwave state. So
Yep.
everything we absorb is just like, being us. And then like I think 2 to 6, it's when you actually building your belief systems. So
Yep.
it's going really deep, and like you have to kind of like look at it, and this is why I like the systems part of it. So if you can draw a line and be like, these are my beliefs, but do those beliefs serve me? And
Wow.
then these don't, and then create the complete opposite and be like, if those ones don't serve you, create the complete opposite. And then like you have to start catching yourself whenever you believe those beliefs that don't serve you, and start slowly integrating the ones that do.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
think,
that's the first step.
yeah. I really completely agree with you. And I feel like growing up, like I had like so much anger
Hmm.
and I had like so many negative thoughts. Like sometimes, like when I remember when I was young, it was like so bad to the point where I was like, there's something wrong. Like there must be something wrong because
Yes.
they were pretty aggressive thoughts. Like
Yes.
they were crazy aggressive thoughts. It's like, do I punch this person? And then I really had to like discipline myself to the point where I'm like, I kept telling myself, this is not me, this is not my thought, this is not me. And I kept like implementing this, like you said, the alter ego. Like this is not who I want to be. And I remember, like, for example, I would like lash out at my mom, and then I would like start crying because then I would feel guilty and I would like
Hmm.
feel shame. But thank God, like I had such a supportive mother, because I don't know
Yeah.
where I'd be without my like supportive mother. And this is what I want to tell to all the parents out there that have like kids that are like um with too much energy or too much anger and stuff. Like, just have patience with them, because like that patience, I swear to you, will shape them for like the rest of their lives. And just to add on what you said, from the age, so they say that from the ages of 0, or when you're born, to all the way to the age of 7, all of the kids, everything they see, they think it's real.
Yes.
So basically, that's why like kids think they're like Superman and they want to like
Yeah.
fly and stuff like that. So that's when they're like actually, like you said, starting to like shape their beliefs. And yeah, so like if you want to program your kids, it's from the age of 1 to 7, like
Yeah.
you said.
After that, it becomes hard because now your beliefs are solidifying, and then you have to go through that process. And it's a hard process because now you're fighting against the ego, which kind of manifests itself into this entity, and it doesn't want to let go because it's built everything up until this point. So that's the hardest part. I think a lot of people, they look at like ADHD as like, yes, I just need to focus and concentrate. But it's like we need to shift. Like there's a version of you that doesn't like, that leverages what you have in terms of the hyper focus. Um, and you need to use that to the best of your ability, because I truly believe this as well, because um, having ADHD, our pattern recognition is second to none.
Wow.
Like you can pick up things that not many people can.
It is honestly just speaking about like the hyper focus. So basically,
Hmm.
hyper focus, and speaking on like the people's like abilities in terms of ADHD. So hyper focus is another form of flow state, and you will see like the best entrepreneurs or the best athletes, such as like Federer, Djokovic, like most of them, or even Steph Curry. Oh my God! Like I watched like this interview with Steph Curry, and when they ask him like, so what are you thinking about like before you shoot your shot? And guess what he says? He says nothing. So the
Yeah.
nothing is the fact that he's in the present moment. And when people with ADHD, they just are basically can tap into flow easier than others because of the brain waves, because of their brain waves. They can tap into, alpha and theta much easier than the average person would. Like most of society is in beta brain waves, which
Yeah.
an excess of beta causes like fear, anxiety, stress. So yeah, and just to speak on the pattern recognition, like honestly, I swear to you, like for me, pattern recognition is genius. That is the
Yes.
definition of genius. like the fact that you can see the bigger picture and see so many similarities around, like with
Mhm.
everything, like
Yeah.
polymaths are, I believe, people that, that can dabble into so many different topics, so many different interests. Like, I don't know, like for me, pattern recognition has helped me understand people, has helped me in sales. I'm currently in sales. Like,
Okay.
I think the best salesmen have ADHD. I don't know, I'm a bit biased, but it's
Yeah.
true. Like, and yeah, like a lot of people, like you said, they think that ADHD is just hyperfocus, but ADHD is being able to sense everything. Like the fact that you can, like, the amount of information that you can process per second is unbelievable. Like, you can
Mhm.
feel people's energies, you can feel people's thoughts, you can feel people's intentions. Like, it goes far deeper than that. So yeah, like, although we have like high sensitivity, and it can cause us to have like extreme highs and
Mhm.
extreme lows, that sensitivity, you shouldn't like feel shame about it, or because like I used to beat myself up. I remember like when I was younger, I used to when I had like those lows, I would be like, why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel like the world is gonna end? I'm like, everything is dark and everything is negative. But at the same time, we have the craziest highs. Like,
Yeah.
we tap into this state where so you are so grateful to be alive. Is beautiful.
It's also it comes down to that, like this is why I like the interest-based nervous system, because as soon as somebody sparks our interest, you go down this rabbit hole and you figure it out, and then once you do, it loses its novelty, and that's when the crash comes, and then you don't do the stuff that you're supposed to do for like 2 3 days, and then you go into that guilt shame spiral, right? And then it's up to us to really, that's why I say create that person where it can sustain it and work towards that, because we all have an end goal. All actually, I want to take this back now, because um, we don't always have an end goal. A lot of people struggle with that, and this is what I've come to see, especially in recent calls that I've had with like
Like,
some
what do you
people.
mean by that? End goal. What do you mean by that?
So let's say, like, I'm not talking, we all have something that we work into, towards, something that we desire, right? So let's say you want that promotion, or you want that apartment, or you want your business to hit a specific revenue.
Yep.
We all have that. But now we don't really want the thing. What we want is the feeling of having the thing. That's all it is, right?
Wow. Wow, that's deep. That's very, very deep. Because I don't know, I'm just thinking about like how sometimes you jump into like relationships where you start liking someone, and you don't even see them for who they are. You just sometimes build like these ideas in your head, and that
Yeah,
dopamine starts kicking in. And then when that dopamine like ends, you're like, mm, did I really like
exactly,
this person? It's
exactly.
crazy.
But if you have that, like, if you have that desire there, you have to kind of paint a picture of beating that desire, and you have to tie it back to emotion. And this goes back to the sub, because everything stems from emotions. Again, when you're in that like infancy, 0 to 2 years old, everything is
Yep.
built on emotion. So we have to
Wow.
create this emotions in terms of where we are in that specific reality. So maybe it is like you have this new apartment. You have to paint the picture of you in that apartment. How
Wow.
would you feel, and who is surrounding you, and what would those people be saying to you in that specific scenario, and what would you say to them? And then it becomes real, and then it
To
becomes
paint the
tangible.
picture.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy. This is exactly what we do in sales. It's like
Hmm.
if we're trying to like sell a program to someone,
Yeah.
and let's say for example it's a program to increase, their revenue and stuff, like we go a bit emotional. We ask them, so why exactly do you want, increase the sales in your company and stuff like that? They say, oh, I want to buy a bigger house and stuff like that. And then what tends to happen is we go deeper in that. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
how many bedrooms is that house? What would you feel like? And you actually start like building that picture, because then you can link that emotion and actually experience it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so
But you
cool.
have you have to do the same thing with your life, because Again, if you not if you don't have that in mind, then and you don't have that character and the 2.0 version of yourself that's in that
Yeah.
specific thing, then that's when it becomes hard to do the mundane stuff because you're constantly seeking that new novelty in terms of like, oh, I just found this new topic. I want to go do that instead of doing the admin that I
Wow.
know I should.
Okay, interesting. And just out of curiosity, like, did you ever work in the workplace, like in corporate world, in the
Yeah.
so I just want to like speak a bit about that because like I just want to understand like because I feel like there's certain a lot of companies don't know that certain individuals have ADHD and
Mhm.
how are like people with ADHD different than other people in the workplace?
Okay, so I I was fortunate that I only worked for like a year in the actual workplace, like physically, before COVID
Yeah.
hit. And I'd literally do like 2, 3 hours of work a day, and then the rest was like coffee breaks, right?
Wow.
And then when it transitioned into COVID, I was like, whoa, this is cool. And then I started like picking up everything, like
Yeah.
how does the whole flow of everything work? When do I receive what I need to work on to give it to who I need to, and I started creating like systems around that. So like in the first 3 months, and I used to work like consulting contractual jobs purely
Yeah.
because my ADHD brain couldn't see long term, and I had no desire to stay in those environments.
No,
So
crazy. Just out of
yeah.
curiosity, why didn't you feel the need? Because I want to understand why uh, most ADHD people tend to go to entrepreneurship and why they don't like. Because you said I didn't like it and I didn't see it long term. Can I ask why?
Oh, I just felt it. I looked at it and I was like, I don't want this to be my life. I don't enjoy this work. How can somebody sit and do this thing for more than a year? And
Yeah,
then that's why I started doing these like I started taking on like after like 1 year of work and I was like, no, I can't be permanent. I'll do these contract consulting roles.
yeah.
And in that, that's when I started like realizing that I was really like this is when it really started because in high school, I literally had one book for all 7 subjects. So I was not the best person there, right? Um, and
uh,
then I started realizing like people cannot pick up what I picked up. And I don't mean this in like to boast
condescending
or to,
way.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was like I couldn't understand why they couldn't pick these things up. Um,
Mm. Mm. 100%.
that was yeah, it
Yeah.
was like, and I had a really good mentor as well, and he also used to function at a really high level, and like we
Love
clicked
that.
really well. And he was also a contractor, and I was like, wait, maybe we were the same.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
love that. You know, when a neuro divergent like ends up like meeting another
yeah,
neurodivergent, you're like, oh,
yeah.
we're the same.
Exactly. And at the point, I didn't understand it fully. And then as it went on, I was like, I could get 2 hours. Like the first 3 months of any new company or project I'd go into, I'd spend so much time, like I'd be hyper fixated. Okay, why do they do this?
I
Where
love
do they
that.
get this from? How does it serve the bigger picture? And I'd work on that and be like, oh wait, you can save so much time by just doing this. Why are they doing that? And then I just kind of reduced my hours to like 2 hours a day, and then I was like, okay, this is boring.
Oh my God. Like, can I, this is actually so funny. Like when I first started in sales, like this is like my first week in sales.
Yeah.
I literally like so it was like door to door, which is like one of like the hardest
Hmm.
like aspects of
Yeah.
sales. I went back home. I literally watched all of like Alex Hermosi's videos on
Hmm.
YouTube, and I started like going deep, like hyper focusing, like you said. And I was like,
Hmm.
this way, this way, this way. No, 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 no. No. I go back, like I smash it. Like my first month, I was like the like the highest like the best performer
Yeah.
and I would have like my own script, my own way of doing stuff, and then always like the owner of the company would be like, but why are you doing this things this way? And I'm like, why are you doing things that way?
Yeah.
Like and in my head it's like you hyper focus and it's obsession. It's actually
Yeah.
obsession. You become so obsessed with understanding the details and understanding the way they think and why we I believe like ADHD people always ask why. They question
Yeah.
the why of things. And growing up, I just didn't understand why people never questioned the why. Like
Yeah.
never, it's like clock in, clock out. They never questioned the why. Like I remember when I was like young, I used to always get in trouble because I used to always
Yeah.
question the why. And the
Yes.
teachers would think that it's like a power conflict or whatever. They think you're challenging them when in reality you're just like so curious, like genuinely,
Yes.
genuinely curious, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. That was me throughout my entire life, since I was a child. Because if you don't understand the why, you don't understand why you're doing it. Like you want to get to like it's kind of like again, it goes back to like why we get these cycles as well, right? Is because we get hyper fixated. Like as soon as you solve that problem, it's like, oh, it's not fulfilling anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that's all it is. I think society doesn't program people to do that. They literally program them for the best use case in, let's say, well, we're going through a different industrial revolution now, but the previous one that we were in is like we needed a labor force. So what would they do?
yeah,
They'd pretty much design you so that you could, sit at your desk or perform a task for that 8 hours and
yeah.
just do that. So it's like I think a lot of it is purely just coming down to being one self-aware and then self-correcting because if you're not self-aware, you don't know why you're doing things. And a lot of people are operating on autopilot.
100%. Like for me, like I did so many jobs because no, no, strictly because of the fact that I would like excel my first month, second month, and then I would like do everything I possibly could, but I would just like find it like so boring. Like it just
Hmm.
wasn't challenging enough. And I think like for me, generally speaking, like honestly, I don't know how people with ADHD do it in the workspace because the workspace is all or corporate is all about routine, routine, routine. It kills your creativity, doesn't let you question things. Like let's say for example, if there's a process you want to improve, they will never let you improve it because because of like insecurities and also because of the fact that you come and you disrupt like how things are
Yeah.
done, even if it's like you doing them in like a better way and helping you know and yeah, so as well as like I think for me generally, like this is my experience. I didn't I don't know how to like sometimes I actually just don't know how to do it like perform in the corporate world because I always tend to speak my mind, and
Hmm.
in corporate you can't speak your mind. You always have to like play a certain like persona, a character. And
Hmm.
yeah, and I think also it's quite hard in corporate when you're like excelling and stuff because there's a lot of like jealousy, there's a lot of that, and I feel like people with ADHD are super sensitive. Like we can feel people's emotions, it's quite interesting, like entering like a place where you can feel everyone's emotions and everyone's
Yeah.
energy and everyone's intention, and just like by entering a room sometimes you can literally shift the energy in that room.
Hmm.
Find it quite interesting. Have you had that experience in your life
Yeah.
in
I
general?
always so I had both sides of the coin. Like I could feel it, like even if there's like but I'd never like there was another side of me that wouldn't acknowledge it, be like, no, you can't know these things, like you can't possibly
Mm,
know that just from like feeling or just looking at a person or being close to them, whatever.
yeah.
So there's a part of me that pulled it away from me because a lot of it was masking throughout because I didn't understand, so like you trying to just fit in with society and be like, no, that's not a real thing. But specifically in corporate, yeah, I felt it. And then I think that was a good part of my growth because what that allowed me to do is essentially like I just switched off my ego uh, quite quickly, but
How
it,
did you
it was a pro.
what do you mean by that?
I learned not to feed my ego in terms of like, yes, this would work, like speaking my mind, be like, we have to implement this. Like I've tried it a
Yes.
couple of times, and then it
Wow,
was like,
interesting.
uh,
Wow. So do you think it's the ego who always wants to like, for example, show off or just like yeah, why did you call it ego? Just out of curiosity. That's like a very interesting point.
I say ego purely because um, I found a thing that worked. I worked hard on it, and there was a part of me that wanted to show it to them and be like, this is what we need to do. And now I can speak a truth, and if somebody accepts it or not, it doesn't bother me. So
Yeah.
there was an old part of me in terms of the ego that like wanted to show people like the work that I've done and this is it. We should do this.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't have that anymore.
Yeah. I think I completely agree with you. Like growing up, the ego, like growing up, I always wanted to be recognized. I always
Mm.
wanted to people to like clap me on the back and
Yeah.
and say you did good and like amazing and stuff like that. But I feel like once you grow up, like you actually it doesn't matter. Like it actually doesn't matter if you feel like inside that you've done good and you're satisfied and stuff. It doesn't matter. And you also realize that people always just understand from their level of perception.
Hmm.
So everyone has their own opinions, everyone has their own like ways of like seeing the world. So you can't like expect people to understand or this and that or and also you can't impose your will on other people.
Hmm. It's hard for people with like not having that awareness, like having ADHD and not having that awareness, because even when you do those things and like it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because even though you know you work so hard on something and you want to show it to people, then you have that like crash, and then you're like, oh no, I'm not keeping up to my normal standards. So then you also fall into the like the guilt shame loop.
Yeah.
And when you can actually create like that person where you actually keep consistent with yourself, that's when you build your self-trust, and that's when the ego will slowly start to fade away as well.
Wow. So just out of curiosity, how do like for people listening, how can someone remove themselves from that guilt and shame? Let's say when someone starts spiraling in that guilt and shame, like what should they do?
So first of all, you need to sit in it. Like you need to absorb every ounce of it until it doesn't
Wow.
have that weight on you. So the first thing we do is usually when we feel that guilt and shame, let's say we haven't been working on a task we need to, but then we force ourselves to go sit at the laptop, but like there's no work being done, there's no productivity in there, and then that guilt and shame loop will just then it's like a perpetual cycle, right? Um, yeah. So to avoid that, again, it's building that self-trust with yourself, but first sitting in the emotions of the shame and the guilt
Yeah.
until it has no hold on you. So you don't immediately just jump to a task and be like, oh, I need to do something because I didn't do enough. You sit with it until it doesn't have that control with you. This is the hardest part, especially in the beginning, because every ounce of you is not used to this. So you
To
have to
feel the
sit,
pain.
yeah, to feel the
Okay.
pain. So you have to sit with it until however long it takes, even if
Wow.
it's like yeah, it like even if it's like a day or two, whatever. Like you have to, you
Yeah.
have to accept it until
Yeah.
it has no control over you, because
Yeah.
it's all it is like our nervous system, and I just say that because it's just like purely how like where our emotions come from, right? The feeling. So you have to sit with that until it feels comfortable, and be like, okay, this is no longer a threat to us.
Okay.
So even when we feel those like emotions of like guilt and shame again, because it will happen, we won't always have this like linear trajectory. Then we also know how to catch it a lot quicker and self-correct. So it does become a lot less as we progress,
Mm-hmm.
and as we sit with these feelings, because it doesn't have that pull on us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we start building more self-trust in ourselves. So even if we know, we had a bad day, like, like, or bad
Mm-hmm.
2 days that has like taken us out, maybe we're like, I was super fatigued or whatever, it doesn't bring itself back to life when we go back to work, because we've built this self-trust with ourselves. It'd be like, okay, that was okay. Now we just move on and fix.
Oh my God, you literally touched on such an important point, which is like trusting yourself.
Hmm.
And yeah, like this is how confidence is built. Like confidence is built by you keeping the promises that you say to yourself. And it could be like anything. It could be literally you doing your bed, you going to the gym, and then it's like it's like a domino effect. They start adding up, adding up, adding up, and then you start
Hmm.
actually trusting yourself. And
Hmm.
once you actually start trusting yourself. The universe starts seeing that you trust yourself. So when you want to manifest and everything, they say, oh, this person trusts herself. So if she sees herself in the future, let's say, then it's gonna happen, because look at
Hmm.
all the small things that she's doing or he's doing.
Yes.
That shows that, you actually a man or a woman of your word. I think
Hmm.
it's, yeah.
That's an important topic as well. As like, people talk about manifestation and stuff, and they think there's two different I don't know, almost like groups of people that kind of box themselves into like, oh, I like the neuroscience, and that's like, it's not like woo-woo manifestation stuff.
Yeah,
But by definition, everything is like manifestation is purely just your emotions and like your frequency and all of that stuff, right?
yeah,
And that has been explained through science.
yeah,
So it
100%.
works, but like a lot of people just can't see the two coexisting. And I think that's where the disconnect is, because when you feel the emotions, which is coming from like, and sometimes you can't explain it, and sometimes like we've even seen like science only like recently catching up to a
Yeah,
lot of the stuff like that
quantum
spiritual
physics.
teachers have.
Yeah,
And you have to feel first, and
yeah,
you have to act in accordance with that feeling.
yeah. Because it's literally all down to your nervous
Hmm.
system and beliefs. Like literally,
Yeah.
it's like even when you look at the biggest entrepreneurs, like the best
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, they don't build better companies because of systems. Yes, of course, systems plays a
Yeah.
part, but it's also by bettering their nervous system. You better your nervous system, it's like, for example, let's say, for example, you want to manifest something, and then you've manifested it. If your body can't hold it, if your body doesn't feel safe, it's
They'll
gonna
reject
go
it.
away. It's literally, it's
Yeah.
like, and I give the example of like when someone goes and wins the lottery. I
Yeah.
guarantee you they will literally
Yeah.
lose the money right after, because they didn't build the systems or the frequency or heal their nervous system in order to hold all that abundance. Because deep
Yep.
down, subconsciously, they think they don't deserve it.
They don't deserve it. Exactly. And that's why you have to create the alter ego. And you have to
Yeah,
have that alter ego have everything that you have. And it's more of it. I think this is also a hard part, is people, especially nowadays, we looking for that instant gratification. Like if I can just take the pain away with like a pull and something, it works. Okay.
yeah,
But to sit with the emotions and like understand why you're having those emotions and the thoughts and the feelings, and then which actually then create then your actions, and then you go through the cycle of, just self-sabotage, guilt,
yeah,
shame, whatever it is. It's like we don't want to sit through that, and we don't want to work through that.
yeah.
And that's the hardest part.
Yeah. So when you say about like sitting with your like own emotions and thoughts, should people just like, for example, every time there's like an emotion that arise, they should question it or they should feel it? What are the steps? Should they sit and feel it in their body, or question, ask themselves like, what is it? Like, how do people overcome like this self-sabotage? Because I see a lot of people wanting things, but they always self-sabotage. They'll start it just a tiny bit, and then
Mm.
boom, straight away they won't finish it. You know.
Yeah, I've been in that cycle multiple times. For me, I take two parts of it, right? So I've gotten to a point where as soon as something like negative hits my mind, I'll be like, oh, I don't want to do like, I don't want to go and script a video and come up with an idea and edit it. And then I'm like, wait, I love that. I actually love that. Like I can split it
Wow.
in a second, and not just like fake, like
Yeah.
they talk about affirmations, all of that. Like I've
Yeah.
gotten to a point where I can be like, I can shift it
Wow.
immediately, and then my internal state will shift to be like, I'm excited to do it.
This is
So
insane. Insane.
but
Yeah.
it broke almost every inch of my old self to get there. So like if I look at a picture from myself a year ago, I
Yeah.
can't recognize that person. Like sure, it's me, but I can't recognize that.
I love
It's
that. I love that.
uh,
You know what
it's
you've done? Yeah, continue. Sorry. Go continue.
so like to answer your question, like it's different, and I think it is different for everybody because you have to explore why you having those thoughts and feelings and emotions in the first place, and some of it can stem back. Like I've caught something and be like, oh my God, I didn't even remember that was a part of my life, but because of that, I can understand how that manifested, or like how it came to life today into like.
Wow.
So it is a combination of the self-awareness and the combination of being able to sit in it, one, and analyze like why it happened, which is important, and what you actually need to do to correct, and acknowledging it when it comes up again, how to
Wow.
treat it. So I think there's like three aspects to that.
Yeah. You know what you just spoke about? You literally just spoke about how someone shifts timelines. This is exactly what you've done. And the fact that you can do it so fast and so quickly and so insane, it, for me, it's unbelievable. I love that. So like shifting timelines is when you choose on an identity and you start acting as that person, and then boom, you create a new reality, because there's an
Hmm.
infinite amount of
Yes.
realities that are happening, and there's like different versions of you that are happening simultaneously. And then
Yes.
when you wake up and you choose that version of yourself and you act like it and you speak
Hmm.
like it, and like you said, the alter ego, which is you creating the character that you want to play in this reality,
Hmm.
things just start. This is
Yeah.
how you shift timelines. I love it. It's beautiful. It's literally how people change their lives.
Yeah. It's no different. Like even if you have like, I know the topic is ADHD, but all of this stuff feeds into that. Like would never have gotten out of that without that. And I
Yeah,
have clients that are like big tech founders that do the exact same thing,
yeah,
and it works.
yeah, 100%. Like this literally works for anyone, whether you have ADHD, whether you don't have ADHD,
Yeah.
whether you have something else. Like this is everyone speaks about shifting timelines, but you've explained it in such a beautiful way with the alter ego. And yeah, like for me, I think ADHD means attention. I call it attention dialed at a higher dimension. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yeah.
Because you basically access a different level of perception, a different frequency. You're literally tapped
Hmm.
into a different frequency. Even when you daydream, when you like zone out of like a
Hmm.
conversation, you're literally gathering information from a completely different dimension, and then
Mm.
or like getting downloads from like somewhere else, and then you come back. And I think it's generally beautiful.
Yeah. 100%. It also goes back into like, we're not motivated by like money and just menial things, and this is why we struggle a lot.
Yes.
And that's why people have these periods where they'll like be employed and then unemployed, or not work on the like strategic aspect of their business, or miss certain
Yeah,
meetings and all of this, because it's not solely money driven. And that's why
yeah,
it's so important. We have to do that,
yeah.
create that.
It's meaning driven.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, I'd say it's like we want to achieve that so that we can be like, oh, we had an impact on something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, people who always question the why definitely
Hmm.
want to leave an impact. Yeah, I think just the fact that, yeah, for me, I always think like I really like wish I could leave the world a better place than when I first came in.
Hmm.
So yeah, like on that note, I just like want to summarize a bit what we've said, which is ADHD. So if someone is like struggling with their negative thoughts,
Hmm.
create an alter ego, create a different version of yourself that is gonna do the things that is gonna propel them forward in life. That's for one. Two, if you want to if as soon as you find yourself not wanting to do something, paint that picture, and then create that emotion, or tie the emotion to it, which will propel you more into doing it. And three, no, you are not like what do they call ADHD people here in the UK? They call them like less than or something. No,
Yeah, a lot of people label them as less than. I don't know,
yeah,
understand why.
yeah, less than or whatever. No, you are not. You are perfectly fine. You are here for a
Mm.
reason. You are different because You are here for a reason. You are different because of the fact that in order to break systems and to create a better world, we need different people.
Hmm.
And yeah, Mikhail, do you want to add something before like we end our podcast for today?
I think that's it. We've spoken about like the systems, the identities, beliefs, and like the neuroscience of it, as well as like how everything exists in your nervous system. I think that's it. It's really simple, but
Yeah,
I think it's just hard because you have to constantly do it,
yeah,
and that's the only way you get out.
yeah. And for anyone who needs like help with like, with ADHD, Mikhail is here. He actually helps founders and he helps many people through his experience and through all of his knowledge and through the fact that like he's hacked many things that a lot of people have not thought about or struggle with. Yeah.
Appreciate it, Asmina.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks.
And
Cheers.
okay, so now obviously I stop it, but oh my God, it was amazing. I loved it.
Me too. It was good.